This is Borussia Dortmund and USMNT national team winger Joseph Gyau, and I'm here with you with the Eltham Old Boys Premier League podcast.
This is the Eltham Old Boys Premier League podcast. Here with Michael Courtney and Evan Drummer.
We're back with a special international break episode of the Eltham Old Boys. As you could hear from our new intro, we have a guest on the show tonight, Joseph Gyau. We have an exclusive interview for you all this week, and we're excited for you to hear it.
And we're also excited to announce that we are now on Twitter. You can follow us at Old Boys Podcast or send us some questions or feedback at elthamoldboys@gmail.com. And both of those can be found on our podcast page on iTunes.
Right. And moving straight into talking about Joe, we have news on his injury that he picked up early in the game. He has a slight tear of the meniscus, and he will have minor surgery sometime this week. Should only be out for 2 to 4 weeks, which is great news because originally we thought that he could be out until January, and that's not what you want to see from a young guy.
He's been in such good form lately too, so
and
it's a shame that he picked up the injury.
And he's so good to us too. We would hate to see him out for that long. So we're gonna break straight into the interview now. Hope you enjoy it. I'm here with U.S. men's national team and Borussia Dortmund winger Joe Gyau. Joe, how are you today?
I'm doing good.
Well, tell us about what's going on since you've been in camp.
Okay, yeah. I just arrived in the camp yesterday around 6 in the evening. With the other guys who had played on Saturday. So the first half of us we arrived, and then we did a little training session today. Nothing too strenuous. And the other half of the guys who played on Sunday, they're going to be getting in, later on this evening, and then we'll be able to train all together tomorrow.
Well, that'll lead straight in. One of the first questions we want to ask you is, what's the process of getting called up to the national team? Like, what is that like?
Process, it's mainly you got to show consistency, to get the first call up. So, I had to be consistently playing at Dortmund, my second team, Then I gotten called up and I was continuously training with the first team. And, then I got the first call in the Czech game, and I was able to play. I was fortunate enough to play 90 minutes. I had a decent 90 minutes.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Then I went back to Dortmund, and then I was able to, stay with the first team again, make my debut, and then, keep making steps forward, and I got this call-up. So I think the main key to getting called up is consistency.
Yeah, and what do they do? What do they say whenever you're getting called up? Is it like somebody calls you, or you hear from your agent? How does that work?
Primarily, the first time I got called up, my coach told me. So first, David Wagner, he was the one to inform me first. He said he spoke a little bit with Klinsmann, and that they were interested in calling me into the next camp. Yeah, so that's how normally I find out.
That's kind of what I thought, and I was going to ask you that later on, but that pretty much has to answer the question. So tell me what it's like, how it's different training with Dortmund than it is with the national team.
Oh man, just with Dortmund it's a little bit different because you have German internationals, we've got Japanese internationals, we've got Serbian, just a bunch of national team players from different countries, and we've got a lot of great players. But then on the national team, we also have a lot of great players, playing in different clubs across the world, in England, Mexico, MLS, Germany, got guys from all over. So from quality, I wouldn't say it's both high level football, so.
Right, and we got another young guy, I believe, in Bobby Wood from the Germany.
Yes. We're actually roommates.
Oh, awesome! It's good to hear. And speaking of roommates, who are your best mates? Who do you get on with at Dortmund?
I would say I get along with Mr. Tarian pretty well. He's actually my next door neighbor. Nevin Subotic, I get along with him very well.
He's basically American, am I right?
Yeah, he is. He grew up in Florida, so yeah, we're talking all the time. Junior Flores, Also the other American. I mean, I get along pretty much with everybody at the club.
Right.
Everybody's really friendly. Those are my main guys. And this Australian guy, Mustafa Amini.
He recently got called up for the Champions League game. Am I right?
Yeah. For both, against Arsenal and against Anderlecht.
Right. That's awesome. Tell me something. Tell me how it was different going from Hoffenheim to Dortmund and the quality of player. How is training different between those two teams?
Man, it's just going from Hoffenheim. You know, my situation at Hoffenheim it wasn't the best, and then Hoffenheim it's a Bundesliga squad as well, but the tradition, it's not as traditional as Dortmund. So when I went to Dortmund and I went to the city, like literally everything is based around football.
Right.
And just getting into the city, getting into that environment where the club, there's a high expectations for the club, high expectations for the players, then that brings the quality out of everybody in the training. You know, they've got world-class players like Marco Reus, Aubameyang, Homos, Mkhitaryan, just Shinji Kagawa. You can just name all the players. So
right. And
getting a chance to train with those guys, you can only learn so much.
I can't imagine playing in front of that support either. It's one of the best in the world.
It's one of the best in the world, hands down. 80,000 at every game.
All right. And talking about Mats Hummels, how does he motivate the team as a captain, and how big of a role does he play in the younger players' development? Mats is he's a leader. He's a great guy. Also on and off the field, he's a very friendly guy. New guys coming in like myself, he just welcomed me as if I had been on the team forever. Always giving me pointers, always telling me small things that I can do better, or small things that I already do well that I can get better, that I can improve on. And before the games, the main motivator of the team is obviously Klopp. He does the speeches before the games and everything. And after pretty much he said what he said in the locker room, everybody's already ready to go. But on the field, then that's when Hummels and Sebastian Kehl. That's when they kind of take on their roles as the leaders. Communicating with everybody, getting everybody sorted. Right. And Hummels being a defender and being great as he is, who's the toughest opponent you've came across? It doesn't necessarily have to be on the other team. It could be in training. Tell me about that.
Right.
I know that's tough.
It's tough. It's tough, but I would say Lucas Piszczek. He's a mobile guy. He's a hard worker, very aggressive, fast. He's a hard opponent.
And that's a guy you see just about every day, huh?
Oh yeah, every day.
That's going to make you better. I like that. That's a good answer for there.
For sure.
Yeah. What's the most surreal moment of your career so far?
The most surreal moment. I would have to say just getting my debut, just coming into that game against Stuttgart. It was I'd moved into the club. A lot of people didn't think that I would even get a chance to, get up to the first team or anything like that. Just being able to move up there and the coach Klopp just take a liking to me so quickly, and then getting thrown into a game like that.
Right.
I think that was an unbelievable moment.
We got a fun one coming up for you right here. Do you think Chelsea will win the Premier League, and do you think that they'll win the Champions League as well this year?
I think they'll win the Premier League this year. They'll win the Premier League, but I do not know about Champions League. Champions League it's always a different story.
It's so wide
Playing
open.
In the league, yeah, it's very wide open. There's so many teams that could take it. Real Madrid is in great form. Bayern's in great form. Even right now, Dortmund, we're not doing so great in the league just because of all the injuries, but Champions League, we're doing great. 2-0 against Arsenal, 3-0 against Anderlecht.
Right.
So I mean,
and it's a
tough.
That's a competition that Dortmund's had success in the past with. So I mean, I could absolutely see that happening. Couple more for you here. Being a third generation professional, do you feel like you were pushed as a kid, or do you feel like that it was something that you wanted to do and you knew you wanted to do it all along?
No, I don't. I really don't feel pushed. It's my father. He's really invested a lot of time in me. And I see how I never really got a chance to see him play, but I just see like the legacy he left behind, like how many people tell me how great he was and things like that, and I see all the time he's put into me, and I just always want to give that back to him by me doing well. So when I do well, he's happy, he's proud. It's like paying him back for all the time he's invested. So I don't really look at it as a pressure aspect. Right,
and he's recently got a pretty high quality job, huh? Tell us about that.
Yeah. He just last April, he got the job at his old university, Howard University. So he's going in there now, trying to turn around the program. The past years they haven't been doing so well, and then they gave him the job, and 100% he's the perfect guy for the job to turn that program around. So I'm really happy for him. That was a big step in his coaching career.
Yeah, that was awesome. I was really happy for him when I saw he got that. A couple more here. Who are some players that, not even necessarily from now, but maybe from the past, that have inspired your style of play, maybe influenced you a little bit?
I'm gonna say Ryan Babel. We used to play together at Hoffenheim, and that was like, really, he's one of my closest friends even until now. And he's taught me so much, And we play the same position, right, left wing, both right footers. If we play on the left side, we love to cut in. Play on the right side, we love to get down the line and cross it. So, but yeah, I've definitely learned a lot from him.
That's good. That's a good segue into our next question, because he did play in England. Do you have any aspirations to ever play in England?
Yeah, that's definitely a place that I would like to end up. Just a little bit down the line, because this is also Dortmund is a great step and a great piece that I'd like to conquer. Try and work my way up to becoming a team regular. But I definitely would love to see my career in England.
I think you're well suited for it too. That they're always looking for speedy guys to get up and down the wing for sure. Well, Joe, that's all we have for you today. I appreciate you coming on and talking to us. It's been a pleasure.
No problem, man. Anything for my boys.
Yeah, we need to get you back on the Xbox soon. You got that Xbox One yet?
I need to get that Xbox. I'm going to get it as soon as I get back from this national camp, just because I haven't had so much time to be on it,
Well, that's good to hear, man. All right, buddy. It's good to hear from you. I hope everything goes well for you, okay?
Thanks, man.
All right, great interview there with Joe. Really enjoyed some of the stuff we talked about in that one, especially about him being a third-generation pro and his father and his grandfather playing as well. I liked how he said that he knew that's what he wanted to do all along, and that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, we'd like to thank him once again for doing that for us. It's a big favor from him. Just really interesting stuff that you don't really get to hear about, especially for somebody up and coming like Joe.
Right. Loved hearing all the stuff. That's some stuff that really, honestly, is exclusive, and that you really don't think about it from time to time, but you really get to see it in the life of a professional athlete. But speaking of Joe, him being one of the recent call-ups, we'll talk about some of the other ones. We had the likes of Bobby Wood. I mean, we had different players that we haven't seen before. I mean,
I was really excited to see Bobby Wood actually get called up, playing at 1860 Munich, being only 21 years old. And it was, unfortunately, Joe got injured, but it was nice to see Bobby come on and get some serious game time.
We had John Brooks coming back in. We had the likes of Luis Gill. Everybody was here, and they were looking to see what we could find from our next generation of player, I guess, for the U.S. And we also got to see the end of the Landon Donovan era,
which is actually it's an incredibly significant era. I can remember when being a little kid, and Landon Donovan was, of course, my favorite player growing up when he played at the Earthquakes, and he had so much pace, and he was such a natural goal scorer. And it's really a shame that I think that he never really made it in Europe. He had a few loan spells with Everton and Bayern Munich at one point, but I don't know. It's kind of sad to see him go, but you can see his and Jurgen's relationship is far from good, and
you can kind of see with that awkward handshake.
You could see it, you could see it in the awkward embrace at the end. And I thought it was really odd that he said that He and Jurgen virtually have
Right,
no
before the game.
relationship before the game, which I thought that was a very odd thing to say. But I guess he has nothing to lose because that's his last game.
Right, and the build-up was kind of strange by ESPN. I don't know if anybody else watched it on that channel, but it was just all based around him, which is understandable, but it was kind of over the top in my opinion. I mean, he did do a ton.
It was almost like a testimonial
Right.
match, and he only played 30 minutes.
He did a
which I thought
ton.
was odd.
He's done a ton for the United States in terms of building soccer, building
in this
football.
country,
Right.
and I mean, he's done it on a World Cup platform. I mean, did it against. He had a huge goal against Mexico in 2002. Huge goal against Algeria.
I mean, he's done it. He's been there for us when we needed him, which is huge, and that's what you want from a player, and that's what makes you a legend. And he is legitimately a legend for the United States.
And no disrespect to Landon Donovan at all, but something about having a manager like Jurgen Klinsmann who has the balls to just not be afraid to drop that player and still go to the World Cup and have a pretty good World Cup without him. I like that a lot about Jurgen.
Very promising. I think we got the right man. You can just see it. You can see it with the youth that he's bringing in and the quality.
And it's and not only just the youth, but it's also the attracting players who can be grandfathered in through their like,
relatives,
through their relatives and nationalities and stuff like that. And I really like that we've kind of broadened our horizons and looking for players.
First thing that I saw also was it was great to see the speed on the wings. We saw DeAndre Yedlin in a weird spot for him, somewhere he hasn't played.
Midfield, but we talked about it before the game. We're just going to be so fast going.
And we
forward.
were at the beginning of the game. We were fast.
Between Joe and Yedlin, it was crazy.
Some ball movement there, and then we had I think it was Timmy Chandler that came back and won the foul, and Garza with a quick free kick to Joe. Joe looks up the sidelines, plays a beautiful kind of outside the foot pass to Landon Donovan.
Went right across the line, stayed in.
Yeah, somehow stayed in. Landon Donovan has the vision to see out the door on the back post, crosses it into him. He kind of
fluffs the opportunity.
I almost thought it was a handball.
Right, it could have been. It easily could have been. But he kind of controls himself, turns around, sees DeAndre Yedlin there, makes a quick, easy pass. DeAndre Yedlin makes a quick, easy pass to who?
Mikkel Morgenstar Diskerud, who lays in a nice finish.
Makes no mistake.
I love it. I love seeing Mix get on the score sheet. He's got to be my favorite U.S. player, and it's always a good day.
He showed very well in this game.
He looked great all around, defensively, going forward.
He was the epitome of a box-to-box midfielder in this game.
And that's what we've been.
He showed it.
And we're going to need more players to step up like that, especially with the likes of Jermaine Jones.
Right.
We're probably not going to see him at the next World Cup. Bradley we'll probably see, but I think the goal is for us to have Michael Bradley and Mixed Diskerud in our midfield.
4 years is a long time, and these players are not going to be from the team we saw. There's certain players that were stars for this team that we're not even going to think of come 2018, and we got to see these young players get in. And I love the fact that we're getting them in and getting them kind of blooded, I guess, and getting them going. We saw the new guy Greg Garza that we really
all
liked.
Fell in love with Greg Garza after that game. He was
tenacious.
Wonderful.
He just loved to see a defender get stuck in.
Didn't care to get stuck in. Good going forward.
He was
I love Greg Garza.
He was literally everywhere.
I hope we see a lot more of him in the future. I was really impressed by him. And, after Joe came off with his injury, I was really excited to see Bobby Wood, as I said earlier. But
the pitch. We saw the whole game.
Oh, yeah.
We saw it the whole game, and it was almost like they weren't even prepared to have a football match on that game or on that field, because not even just the United States players, the Ecuadorian players were also sliding around, and you saw Joe take up two massive foot-long divots, it looked like, when he got hurt. And you can't put professionals on a field like that and not expect something along the likes of what happened to Joe. It's going to happen. Yeah. That killed me, and I noticed it throughout the entire game after Joe went out. And
there were several instances where other players either just took a slip or
right, and that stuff can wear on you, and it showed it can cause things to happen. But I don't know. The more important people make decisions than me, I guess, and they decided they were going to play on that game.
Which is a shame. But going back to Bobby Wood, I thought Bobby Wood, obviously he
looked nervous.
And I can't really blame him. It's
second. I think it's the second
appearance for the first team.
First in a long time. I think it was
but I thought he looked really good. He had a lot of really good touches, good movement going forward. It was just that final ball, that final finish, that decision making. We saw it at the end where he got caught in this awkward position where he wasn't sure whether to pass it over to Wondolowski for the tap in or just tap it in himself, and he waited too long. and
kind of
missed the
toe poked it
opportunity.
over. And
But he's a young player, and
he kind of looked like he was playing out of position too. He looks like he's somebody that could be playing up top more.
yeah.
So I mean,
Well, I think it says a lot that I think he got a lot more opportunities than Josie Altidore the
Right.
whole game.
Yeah.
right.
When,
but
you're talking
don't-
about a kid of his age
Right.
on his second appearance,
we
getting
can't
much more opportunities
We
than
can't
him.
discount the fact that Josie Altidore had a very great game.
no, he did.
though.
Don't get me wrong. He had a lot of good hold up play.
Played some
Created
beautiful
many
through-
chances.
He had a great chance for I think it was
Landon.
Landon to almost
Yeah.
hit the inside of the post.
Started the play in the box to Mix before Mix goal.
Yeah.
I mean, he did a lot of stuff really well. Not just scoring goals is what everybody's calling for because he was a striker, but I thought that he played extremely well for us in that game. Which is what you want from him. I mean, he's a big, strong guy, and you want him to be able to do a job in front of goal, holding a play and everything.
I would just be a lot more comfortable if we saw Josie start scoring some more goals. Like
He had some chances that game. It was disappointing not to see him put them in.
Yeah, he had a one where he turned quick, held the guy off on his back, turned quick, and played a ball. Any other time, I think he may score that. But he's got a lot of pressure riding on him right now, I think, from a lot of people. But
well, not only at his club situation,
Right.
but on the national team as
right,
well.
and it's tough for a guy to come in after not playing for your club at all and come straight in and play that big of a game in front of that big of a crowd. So, I mean, you can kind of understand where he's coming from. We saw a number of the guys get taken off a little after halftime or during halftime and kind of showed that first group of people or the first group of players got into a rhythm and were really playing with each other very well. But then the next group kind of came in and there was a little bit of a lull in the game. Between
Yeah,
the
I think it was
middle.
once Landon came off, and I think it's like around 40th minute or so, and Joe Corona came on. It just kind of that, and I guess Joe coming off too. It kind of like really broke up our rhythm,
We lost a lot of width.
and we didn't look nearly as confident going forward after that happened. They were just defensively, we looked a little just unorganized, I guess. Just a few silly mistakes, and I think someone had one of the Ecuadorian players had a one-on-one with Brad Guzan.
He made a great save,
He
yeah.
made a great save there.
But when we saw later on, we saw what you're talking about with Bobby Wood. He kind of gets a ball played to him and makes a great turn to the outside and gets forward. The ball he plays in is to really no one, but it is in a dangerous area. It gets deflected back to Yedlin, and Yedlin basically has the goal to score, but the goalkeeper comes out and makes a great save. You thought Yedlin was going to get his first goal for his nation there, but that was really convincing, and it's something you like to see, especially from Yedlin playing on the wings, getting into that dangerous area, and Bobby Wood really making a good out of that situation. That was probably his best moment of the game there, Bobby Wood. But
Yeah, that little touch and turn.
right,
Yeah, I was actually really impressed by him. And then we had the Inter Valencia
and we've seen that before from him.
against Hull.
Yeah, and very
He
similar.
recreated it.
Right, very similar situation, and it looked like that the ball may have taken a deflection, even off of Michael Dawson when he hit it against Hull. But he manipulates the ball so well, and he did it again against the U.S. It's almost like he knows how to put the ball in that area. I know the one against Hull was a little bit higher up into the 90, but this one was just
That
so
one just dipped right up and over Tim Ream.
beautiful.
That ball defied physics.
It was perfect.
Ian Dark was convinced
Yes.
it took a deflection the entire time too.
It was just a beautiful ball, but it's something that we maybe could have prevented. We had a defender trying to close someone down 35 yards out of.
At that point, we had made so many substitutions
Right.
with Tim Ream coming on, and
I thought
I mean,
he
you
played well.
changed both your center backs at the same time.
Yeah, I thought he played well. I think somebody else could have been there helping him out in that situation because he was so deep in the middle of the field. You want to think that somebody's going to be there, but
I mean, I think it was at that point it was only Mix stuck there in the midfield, and Mix gets drawn to the first pass to the midfielder, which opens up Inter Valencia.
Right,
And that pass
maybe-
just goes to him easily.
maybe
And
Joe Corona or somebody
Yeah.
could have been there. I mean,
Somebody needed. You got to have somebody there.
but you cannot discount the fact that was a world-class shot, and that's one that's going to go in every time. Like, easily going to go in every time, especially with the spin on the ball and just the.
saw Alfredo
Beauty.
Morales come on too. I think that was his
He's
name.
another one of the new guys,
Yeah, he looked really good as well. I thought,
young guy.
very young guy.
I believe he plays in Germany as well. I'm not
does play.
sure where, but he plays in Germany. But I mean, we saw these guys, and we really enjoyed watching them. And we were sad to see Joe go out. I know that took me out of the game for a little bit. I was pretty upset, but all in all, I thought we showed really well, especially seeing the new faces and getting them in and getting them experience. So, good look going forward to the Honduras game because we got a bunch more new faces coming
Yeah,
in,
we've got,
more of the old faces, actually.
Beasler, Bradley, Dempsey, Sean Johnson, Jermaine Jones, and Graham Zusi all coming in.
Right, those are all guys that were
for
with
the
us.
Honduras game tomorrow.
Those are all guys that were with us in the World Cup, so we're seeing those guys, except for Sean Johnson.
Yeah, and then John Anthony Brooks, Donovan, obviously, Luis Gill, Omar Gonzalez, Brad Guzan, and obviously Joe are all not going to be there tomorrow.
Right, all sent back to their clubs. We're getting ready for whatever it is to come for them on the weekends.
So you think we'll see a Jermaine Jones, Michael Bradley midfield, or
I would love
think?
Mix to still be in there.
I think Mix will start. I do.
I hope so.
I hope he does anyway. I mean, it'd be good to see him and Jermaine Jones, for
You think
instance.
we'll see Yedlin out wide again
I think so.
in midfield?
Yeah, I think so. But also, I think that it would be great to see those two, Jermaine Jones and Mix, because I don't think Michael Bradley is necessarily in form
No.
with his club right now, and they're not doing so hot. So I mean, I think that you keep a guy in that played really well against Ecuador, and then you bring a guy in who's in form in Jermaine Jones. So I mean, it'd be fun to see. It'd be fun to see how they shake up the lineup. I don't know, but
Dempsey's got to start.
yeah,
right?
he's in.
Yeah,
He's in
he's
straight away,
absolutely.
captaining.
So, yep, that should be. I think we'll. What do you think?
I think we'll win 2-0 easy.
2-0 U.S. Dakota.
Could even be more.
4-1.
4-1.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
I'm
gonna
hoping
go
Josie gets a brace.
I hope so. It'd be good
I
for him.
just want to see him on the score sheet.
2-0 again. Mixed this crude with
both.
both.
Oh, sure.
But
We'll just cover a few of the Premier League goal scorers.
we'll do it because that's what we're actually here for, and that's what we do on a
It's
weekly
Premier
basis.
League podcast. Rooney had 2 goals.
Yeah, this is from their 2 games. Each team, most of the teams have had 2 games this week. Rooney had 2 goals, and
When England played the mighty San Marino,
And-
international powerhouse San
Estonia.
Marino, and then Estonia. Rooney had 2 goals. Jagielka scored. Welbs got a goal as well, and Andros Townsend got on the score sheet.
yep, it was good for England to play absolutely no one,
And they didn't even look that convincing though.
especially against Estonia.
That was
Estonia,
a
they
snoozer
scored-
against Estonia.
70. Yeah, I think it was a free kick in the 70-something minute.
There's some serious work to
And
be
that
done.
was a great team that they threw out on the field against Estonia, and you expect that team to do much better.
Sterling not playing because he was too tired. Just a lot of weird things going on in the
some
England camp
serious
right now.
work to be done with England, whether it be with their players, their mentality,
Or
or,
a new
their manager.
I think we may see. Well, I don't know. I don't know about.
He hasn't
Roy.
done anything terrible. I mean, he didn't show it all in the World Cup, but other than that, he hasn't
He's
done.
hilarious though. I
really is.
love
If
watching.
you ever get
Roy
a chance,
Hodgson.
get on and look up Roy Hodgson on Vine.
There's
It's
just so
pretty-
many like good little clips of Roy Hodgson looking like an old man. He has no idea what's going on. It's great.
But moving on, we'll talk about Spain. We saw Costa and
Dude.
David Silva.
And I thought it was. We saw both of them get a goal, and then we also saw Iker Casillas get dropped after a shocker
Right.
against Bosnia.
Nice.
Slovakia, excuse
Yeah.
me. And then De Gea got a start in the second game, and he played really well. He kept a shutout.
It's about time, really.
Yeah.
Really,
and I
that's
think we'll.
crazy.
It's only got to be a few more games before De Gea is the permanent number 1.
Right. And then we got to see the guy that we called for,
Graziano.
Graziano Pelle. He got on the score sheet today against Malta, I believe.
It was brilliant.
And that's good to see from him. He actually got on the score sheet, then they went down to 10 men and parked the bus on Italy and ended in 1-0, I believe. And then we got the Iceman. The Iceman cometh, Gylfi Sigurdsson, with 3 goals on the week.
In great form.
It was
Club
absolutely
and country.
was absolutely brilliant this week for Iceland, and he always is. But I mean, this week he was just perfect. I think they beat the Netherlands for the first time in I think ages in the qualifying stage, which is huge for Iceland going forward. Because I think that they could have. I think they were just on the outside of making it actually to the World Cup, which would have been great for them. And I think they actually have some experience from that and can push on and do some good things.
Exactly. We also Dzeko score for Bosnia, and Chadley got a goal for Belgium as well.
Keeping his form like he's shown for the club, which is huge. But
And as a United supporter, I'm glad that all of our strikers scored: Van Persie, Falcao, and Rooney. So
Yeah.
that's great. Hopefully, they'll all be confident coming into the next week.
right. And anything else we want to talk about before we close it out? I know it is
it'll
shorter.
be a quick, shorter podcast this week, but next week it will probably be another
Right back to our normal
right
stuff.
back to our
right?
normal stuff. But this is a nice little international break, and hopefully, we'll be able to do some more things like this in the future.
Right. Evan, tell us more about our Gmail and
Once again, we are now on Twitter, so you can follow us and add us and ask us questions or
Subscribe.
whatever at Old Boys Podcast, or you can email us at elthamoldboys@gmail.com. And both of those can be found on the iTunes page. And we'd also like if you'd subscribe or rate or review at the bottom.
Yeah, that'd be huge for us.
I'll also throw them in the description of this podcast just in case. Just in case. We'll just get them out there.
It's good to
get them
have
out there.
Well,
But,
guys, hope you really enjoyed it. To any new followers that we get from this, it's great to have you all. Hope you all enjoy. Thanks for listening, guys.
we'll see you next week.
I missed the Premier League.
I'm done. Me too.
We'd like to thank the band TV Girl for the music for this podcast. Go pick up their new album, French Exit, on iTunes or Bandcamp.